As explained in the previous video, there are 4 ability scores used in the Verve TTRPG system. These abilities each represent one's physical and mental power and precision. They are strength, dexterity, intelligence, and spirit. Each score is given a value from 1 to 6, which results in an ability dice with a size equal to twice the score. Whenever someone tries to do an action which either has unclear results, has meaningful consequences, and/or it would be fun to add some randomness to, then dice can be rolled to determine the results. In these situations, the conductor, the name of the game master or player guide in the Verve, will call for a skill roll. Each skill uses 3 ability dice, with the rolled values summed to determine the result. Skills typically use 2 of one ability and 1 of another, but may also use 3 of one ability dice. As such, there are 16 different skills, as shown in this table, and each skill is given its own name. For example, the Instinct skill uses 2 spirit dice and 1 dexterity dice. These skills can be used quite freely. Some suggestions are shown in the table, but they can be called for whenever the conductor deems the associated abilities to be relevant to the action. The conductor may also provide options for which skills can be used. When the conductor calls for a skill, they can also tell the players the difficulty class, or DC. This number represents the threshold for success. If the result is larger than the DC, then they succeed. The amount by which the roll is larger than the DC is called the Exceedance, and a higher Exceedance means a greater degree of success. Therefore, matching the DC is typically not considered a success. A more challenging task will have a higher DC, and a simpler task will have a lower DC, with reference to this table. Sometimes a task will not have a specific DC, typically when the action doesn't have a binary success-fail distinction. In this case, the conductor is simply trying to gauge how well you attempt some action. The conductor can also call for skills to be made with various levels of ease and difficulty. Ease and difficulty represent something outside of the challenge which is helping or hindering you to complete the task. For example, climbing a wall with a broken leg is more difficult than with an ally giving you a leg up, irrespective of the height or smoothness of the wall, which would determine the DC. Levels of ease and difficulty from multiple sources may cancel out, so climbing a wall with a broken leg and an ally giving you a leg up, the roll may be made normally. When rolling with ease or difficulty, a number of additional dice are rolled, equal to the level of ease or difficulty applied to the skill. The size of these extra dice is determined by the smallest dice used in the skill. Then, when rolling with ease, the 3 largest dice are summed, or rolling with difficulty, the 3 smallest results are summed. Player characters and creatures can be trained in any of the 16 skills. Training is earned through time spent practicing a related action, or through one's class. Levels of training in a skill give +1 level of ease whenever they perform that skill. Skills can also be performed passively, in contrast to active skills, which have been described thus far. A passive skill uses the sum of the 3 ability scores instead of the ability dice. Levels of ease and difficulty simply add or subtract 1 from the value. Passive skills are used whenever someone might be doing something unconsciously, or when they are preoccupied with some other action. The most common usage is determining what someone might notice, even if they aren't actively looking or investigating. This would typically be passive instinct. Additionally, sometimes the passive value can be used as the minimum possible roll, particularly when it wouldn't make sense for someone to fail significantly at some action. In most cases, this is again up to the conductor. Finally, if someone wants to try and improve their chances of success, or add additional effects to their action, they can exert effort. 1 level of effort costs 1 stamina and 1 morale. Resources explained in the previous video. Levels of effort can only be added up to one's effort limit. Levels of effort can be used for 3 things: turning a passive roll into an active one, gaining levels of ease in an action, or applying a modifier to an action. Modifiers are secondary effects outside of the primary focus of the action. They most often are used to modify attack actions, such as modifying an attack to knock the target prone. They can also be used outside of combat, whenever it is deemed applicable. For example, when sneaking through a forest, a modifier could be used to remove your tracks as you go, this additional effect requiring effort. So, in summary, there are 16 skills, each of which use 2 of one ability and 1 of another, or 3 of one ability. When rolling a skill, the amount by which the sum exceeds the DC, or the exceedance, determines the degree of success. Skills can be rolled with ease or difficulty, rolling a number of additional dice and summing either the 3 largest or the 3 smallest to determine the result. Skills can be performed passively, if the actor is doing so unconsciously. Passive skills simply use the ability scores instead of the dice, adding or subtracting 1 for each level of ease or difficulty. Finally, effort can be exerted by spending stamina and morale up to one's effort limit, to turn a passive into an active roll, to gain levels of ease, or to apply modifiers to an action.